the story of our world every day. Listen and your heart may open up. If ever you feel frightened of our world that's washed away, a mother is a mother, come to us. Women, 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 women. Women sew the fabric of our world every day. History of violence made it through. The stories that we share will all live on, and so we say these truths are our gifts passed on to you, women.
Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Liebau, and this is the Scheherazade Project's hashtag 101 Nights show. We're counting down to the most pivotal election of our time by featuring at least one woman's story in any art form each night through November 2nd, 2020, to urge all Americans to use their voices to vote. Join us live every night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tonight's featured storyteller is Paula Lazor, a parent advocate and the host of Education Innovations, a radio program on hands-on, project-based learning on WERA 96.7 FM. She earned a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism at Indiana University of Pennsylvania and an MA in Writing at Johns Hopkins University. Paula is the author of Beyond the Box: How Hands-On Learning Can Transform a Child and Reform Our Schools, A Mother's Story. And here she is, Paula Lazor.
So this chapter is called College Media News Service, and I'd like to read a little bit about it. It was only a few days into summer vacation, and Matt was already bored. Then out of nowhere, he asked me if he could still work at the radio program I had mentioned to him earlier in the year. I was surprised that Matt even remembered the internship that my friend Ellen had recommended when she'd found out his problems at school. Then again, Ellen also mentioned she would pay him $100 a week for his work, and that he could even bring a friend. Sure, he can start any time he wants, Ellen told me when I asked her if the offer was still good. Matt invited his friend Mark to work at the news service with him. They had been long, fast friends ever since Mark moved a few doors down from us when Matt was in 4th grade. Their first internship day was July 10th. The studio itself had a college dorm filled to it, newspapers scattered on a coffee table, and several young men and women immersed in conversations about what they should cover that day for their web-based stories. Once we arrived, I stayed long enough to introduce the boys to Ellen, who, busy as usual, was just about to dash out the door. She had to make a hastily arranged meeting and only had time to say hello before handing them over to the internship coordinator. She promised to talk to the boys about their assignments once she returned in the afternoon. Even though she was barely 5 feet tall, Ellen's piercing dark eyes and tell-it-like-it-is manner left no doubt that she was a force to be reckoned with in this media world. Yet she was also one of the most generous people I knew, always looking for ways to help the underdog and sparing no expense when it came to social causes that she believed in. Matt was someone she decided to take under her wing. She had no patience with the traditional school system, and when she saw potential in bright young students who were slipping through the cracks, she found ways to spark their creativity. Having the opportunity to work on interesting projects seemed like a formula that might work for Matt. The first assignment for the two boys was an easy one: to accompany one of the college students to Capitol Hill to get their press credentials. When Matt came home that evening, the first thing he said was how much he liked his new boss, especially after she disapproved of his green floral shirt and his skateboard pants. "You look like a frickin' ragamuffin," blunt-spoken Ellen had told him, an observation that apparently won Matt over immediately. He promised her he would wear something more professional the next day, and as promised, after dinner, we shopped for clothes that were more presentable for the news service: khaki pants and 5 plaid cotton shirts. After telling Tom and me about his wardrobe malfunction, Matt proudly showed us his press pass. Below his media credential, it read, "Studio Producer 2001. What a contrast from middle school and its classroom settings. Matt, now doing these challenging creative projects, loved the challenge of piecing information together, just like he loved building things. We were impressed with how the radio internship helped him to work independently through complicated issues. After a few days of attending press conferences and congressional hearings, Matt and Mark were given their first assignment. The internship coordinator sent them off to do a man-on-the-street interview about skateboarding at Freedom Plaza, a promenade on Pennsylvania Avenue that had become a popular spot for skaters because of its wide open space, granite steps, and low ledges. Keeping the skateboarders off the sidewalks had also become a major headache for DC police officers. Matt and Mark interviewed pedestrians and a few full-party skaters who practiced kickflips between episodes, scattering at the sight of an approaching cop. The boys asked the policeman, and later a National Park Service officer, why they weren't putting in more skate parks in the DC area. Not surprisingly, their story put a positive spin on skating and explained why, instead of getting down on skaters for being on the streets, there should be more skate parks. Throughout the summer, Matt and Mark covered a variety of stories that would appeal to college students. I was impressed by the quality of Matt's work, and I asked him how he managed to put so much information together in so few words. Did he have an editor to help him write the script? "What script?" Matt replied. "I didn't write anything down. I just did it." How was it possible for Matt to put together well-crafted news reports when he couldn't stay awake to write a few paragraphs for his English schoolwork or his standards of learning tests? How could he focus for hours on producing work that interested him when he was unable to concentrate on much simpler work at school?
Thanks for joining us tonight. If our featured artists inspire you to share a story of your own, everyone, all genders, can help the grassroots spread. Post your literary, visual, or performing arts on Instagram or Twitter with hashtag 101 Nights. That's 101 NIGHTS. You don't have to be the featured artist to join the movement. If you're a creative or just have a favorite story you want to share, post it on Twitter or Instagram and include hashtag 101 Nights.
Mother is a mother, come to us. Women, 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 women. Women sew the fabric of our world every day. History of violence made it through. The stories that we share will live on, and so we say these truths are our gifts passed on to you. Women.